Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be taking a look at the Call of Duty Endowment Bowl. I had said the other day that I was going to make this video, and yeah, I'm I'm definitely making it. So we're going to take a look at the format, the teams. We're going to take a look at all four drops. I mean, more of a generalized view than say my Call of Duty League videos are, because I can't see all the details of these drops and like kills and this and that. So it's going to be more of a broad look at them. Um, but we're going to take a look at a clip first that was honestly just so hilarious. It was only 11 minutes into the stream, and oh my goodness, I thought I was going to die laughing at this. But let's go ahead and put that in, and then we will continue on from there.
The coolest fundraiser I've ever seen, because usually the fundraisers back in Wales aren't that exciting. We
Yeah.
just get a Chevy at the end of one. So.
Yeah. No one-of-one Enduro,
Yeah.
of course, trucks out there over in Wales. Well, we got it here in America, baby.
I love that.
Great stuff. Yeah, one-of-one.
All right, yeah. So this dude was hilarious. I don't, of course, I don't know your name or anything, but you know what? You gave me a really good laugh. Congrats to you. I about died laughing at you in this clip. Um, it was what you were doing too. I mean, it's not like you just photobombed. It's like you, I don't know, man. It that was hilarious. It was so hilarious. But moving on, so we're going, like I said, we're going to take a look at the format, the teams, the drops, and we're going to take a look at the solo YOLO at the very end. Now, let me put in the very beginning of this. Thank you so much to Noisybutters for allowing me to use part of your a very small snippet of your stream at the very end of this video for the solo YOLO. Because I didn't quite like 100% how it was cut at the end of at the end of the solo YOLO. I mean, of course, they cut between the players, but Butters watched the POV of the person who won it, like, for good little chunk of time there. And I don't know, I like seeing it from just expressly his point of view versus switching back and forth. And plus, he did something that was just so hilarious, and I'll discuss that more when we get to the solo YOLO part of this video. But so let's take a look at the format real quick. So you did 4 drops on Avalon. You got 1 point for each kill. First place got 2 times multipliers of points, and second place through 10th place got a 1.5 times multiplier. Yeah, so I mean, you could do quite well. But flipping over to the teams, so you had an Alpha and a Bravo for each team, and basically the score was accumulated between the 2 teams. So, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce all these names, especially this one. I'm not sure how to say this one. I don't want to butcher it because I know how that goes. I butcher names all the time at work sometimes. But so you had Swisham on Bravo and him on Alpha. I'm not certain how you say that name, but on the US Army Esports, on the Air Force Gaming, you had Jowo on Alpha, you had Grits on Bravo, and these are the content creators that were working with these military teams. So, and then on Marine Corps Gaming, you had on Alpha, you had Repulse. On Bravo, you had Legion. On US Navy Esports, on Alpha, you had Huskers, and on Bravo, you had MPX Player. And on Coast Guard Gaming, you had on Alpha, you had Teep. On Bravo, you had Breadman. So switching over to page 2 here, you had Space Force Gaming, Alpha and Bravo. Lucky Shamu? I'm not sure how you say that. I'm sorry. And on Bravo, you had Butters, or Noisybutters. And so on British Army Esports, you had Jukes. I'm not sure how you say that. On Bravo, you had Benny Central. On Royal Navy Esports, you had on Alpha, you had Zyro. On Bravo, you had Emmys. Now, on the Royal Air Force Esports, you had FIFA Kill on Alpha. You had Sophie Snaz on Bravo. Then on the Royal Canadian Air Force, on Alpha, you had Pros. On Bravo, you had Steiner or Steiner, however you say that one. I'm not certain 100% how you say that one either. But yeah, so that's the teams that we're playing, and so let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at the first match. So the winner of the first drop was Coast Guard Gaming Bravo, and I noticed that. I mean, I I haven't really played enough Black Ops Royale to really know the game mode 110% through and through, like some of these people have. But Stadium was a hot drop from the first map all the way to the fourth map. I don't know why I did this, but from the first map all the way to the fourth map Stadium was a hot drop. I mean, at some points you had 4 or 5 teams at Stadium. So it was a really, really hot drop. But let's go ahead and so we're going to take a look at the little clips at the end where each drop was won. Just a little snippet. And so I did blur out the MW4 beta codes that were on the left side of the screen. So you're going to see a little blur on each of these cuts, but it's because I did not want those beta codes showing on my video. So, because I was not sure what would happen there, but I should not get a copyright strike for using the footage because I never do when I use any for like my CDL videos. So, yeah, let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at the first map here.
The final 3, up to the high ground we go with a nice little grapple. Can you spot out Breadman and co across the way? The remainders of Soka's squad there, U.S. Army Esports Alpha on the left-hand side of things. And Soka's got the vehicle. D-Lo, you're gonna have to rip him out of there.
Yeah, he's got to be careful with
That'll
that,
do.
though. Yeah, War Machine with the D-Lo, and that that could be very, very devastating for Hisoka. But right there, grappling, trying to get into the vehicle. Hisoka just gets in for cover, and look at this, Tiff. Aces takes him down, and they just decide to full-on charge. Now we're in a 1v2. Or 2, excuse me.
Oh. We're shutting it down. 3v3, but Get Kicked is on the ground. Ace is trying to hold with a shrivel of cover. Breadman hits the knock. Breadman looking to convert for the Coast Guard Bravo. And that's map number 1, starting things off strong.
Coast Guard Bravo, Tiff, taking that, which is crazy, especially considering how much smack talk.
All right, so taking a look at the leaderboard for the first map here, which I forgot to mention, after we look at the winning of each map, we're going to take a look at the leaderboard for each. And so leaderboard for the first one, even though Coast Guard Gaming won the map, they did not win the leaderboard. So U.S. Army Esports won with the leaderboard at Alpha had 34.5 points, Bravo had 13.5, which gave them 48. Coast Guard Gaming had 19.5 points on Alpha, 26 points on Bravo, which gave them 45. In third place, you had Air Force Gaming, 21 points on Alpha, 15 points on Bravo, which gave them 36. And we'll just kind of skim over all the others. So Royal Canadian Air Force had 26 points total. British Army had 19, Royal Air Force had 17, Marine Corps had 9, U.S. Navy had 6, Space Force had 5, and Royal Navy had 4.5. So, I mean, everybody still performed quite well. I mean, let's just say Black Ops Royale can be fun, but it can also be luck of the draw, which is pretty much is luck of the draw. You have to find just the right stuff to really survive properly. But we'll go ahead and flip over and take a look at the winning of Map 2. So Map 2, U.S. Air Force Alpha won that one. They didn't win again, they did not win the actual leaderboard, but they did win the map. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that winning, and we'll flip over and look at the leaderboard.
Esports Alpha, there should be a lone member. Can we find them here on this ridgeline? Looks like Isaac senses someone down below. We're just looking for the early shots, and there it is from the high ground, and we wipe US Navy Esports Alpha.
For US Air Force, this is like the position you want to have. Like, you have all of the cards in your hand here. 3 squads remaining as we close in on this circle. And if you look at Army, Tiff, on the other side of the ridge, they have that low ground. They're going to have trouble to rotating in with Air Force holding this high.
Perfect. I wouldn't expect anyone else to hold that high ground. They take this in the fashion. Sure, Jowo's not in it, but I can imagine he's providing those comms. Look at those boys trying to hold the angle. Soka, an actual little dynamic duo here for the US Army Esports. Holding it down, but SJ wipes out there. Takes the win in map number 2. Play and positioning. You love to see it.
What a win, and wow, that was chaos. But I mean, for the US Air Force, that Alpha squad, even though Jowo wasn't there, Tiff, like you had mentioned, he was probably just leading the charge the whole entire time, and they were able to hold it down and take the win.
See, that's what's so fun, because
All right, so taking a look at the leaderboard for map 2, British Army Esports actually won the leaderboard. Alpha had 27, Bravo had 15 points, which gave them 42. They were actually even. So I'm not sure if they hit 42 points before they did or how that went. The fact that they are tied is the funny part. So Air Force Gaming had 42 points total. They had 36 on Alpha and 6 on Bravo. US Navy Esports had 33 points on Alpha, 7.5 on Bravo, which gave them 40.5. And again, taking a look at the others as well, kind of more generalized. Yeah, US Army had 30, Royal Navy had 20, Space Force had 13, Royal Canadian Air Force had 10, Coast Guard had 7, Marine Corps had 4, and Royal Air Force had 1. Not good for the Royal Air Force in that one, but, you know, I mean, each drop is different, so you're going to fare differently in every single one. So we'll go ahead and flip over and take a look at the third, the winning of the third drop, which went to the British Army Alpha team. And for that one, they actually did win top of the leaderboard as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look at map 3.
On the ground right now, they are probably in the perfect position for Space Force. You have to win all these engagements, but then you have to get down and worry about Alpha down below. For Kabase, though, staying alive and fighting, still holding this strong, it is Coast Guard Bravo, who's down below as well, but that is a knock on Kabase from ALB from the British Army Esports down below.
oh boy, see, you get the reset, you get the pickups, you drop the plates for the teammate, making sure that everyone is kitted for the end game. You talked about all the information gathering, and that's exactly what we're looking to do here. That British Army Esports Alpha holds the other side of the circle. So we have about 3 teams layer caked here, but it all depends on where that pool is. And there you can see that circle pop. No one in it. Who's going to be there first? We don't know about Space Force Alpha here on your screen, what that drop is going to look like, but they have to do it because British Army Esports Alpha is already making a rotation.
And I believe that was Squad 3. That was Navy Alpha that was just wiped. So now we are in the final moments here. Space Force using that Deadeye drone, trying to get a couple of picks. Doesn't become successful here, but for British Army down below, just taking all the engagements, all they have to do here, Tiff, is just let Space Force come to them, and Gibbo getting all of the kills. And for British Army Alpha, take map number 3.
And it was such a clean and dominating fashion. My biggest question when it came to the US Space Force was, what was that drop down going to look like? Coast Guard Bravo falls, and immediately the Space Force Alpha says, we are going to drop down, take the chow to British Army Esports Alpha. And that positioning that they held, the early rotation, just allowed them to clean up the lobby. Now, I'm curious though, how many kills do the British Army Esports Alpha?
All right, so taking a look at the leaderboard for map 3. So British Army Esports, like I said, actually did win top of the leaderboard on this one. 42 points for Alpha, 9 for Bravo, which gave them 51. Coast Guard Gaming had 31.5 on Alpha, 12 on Bravo, which gave them 43.5. Royal Air Force Esports had 27 on Alpha, 2 on Bravo, which gave them 29. And Space Force Gaming came in 4th place this time. They got 13.5 on Alpha, 7.5 on Bravo, which gave them 21. And taking a look at the others, so U.S. Navy had 21 total. Air Force Gaming had 18.5. U.S. Army Esports had 10.5. Royal Canadian Air Force had 10.5. And then Marine Corps Gaming had 8. And Royal Navy Esports had 2. So, again, everybody fared pretty decently. But like I said, each drop is different, and each drop is gonna, you may get better loot this time than you did the time before. I mean, I don't know. It's a total back and forth game with Black Ops Royale. But taking a look at the 4th one, at the 4th map. Now, I will note that, in the 4th drop, U.S. Navy got, I think it was U.S. Navy, yeah, U.S. Navy Alpha got a ray gun in this one. And I have never seen a ray gun inside of Black Ops Royale, nor have I used it. I haven't even used one in Zombies, to be honest, so I didn't know that they existed inside of Black Ops Royale, but you know, you learn something new every day, as the old saying goes, so yeah. Looking at my notes here. I took notes when I was watching the stream because I knew I would need them. And I noted as well in the 4th drop because British Army Esports, British Army, I didn't know whether it was Alpha or Bravo. Well, no. So U.S. Navy won the 4th map, but British Army actually won the Call of Duty Endowment Bowl 7 itself. So they won the bowl, but U.S. Navy won the 4th drop. So we'll go ahead and flip on in and take a look at the ending of the 4th map, and then we will take a look at the cumulative leaderboard for the Call of Duty 7 Endowment Bowl. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Squad number 19 on the southern side of things, and Bane goes massive for the U.S. Navy, picks up a ton of them, and with Husk about trying to make a comeback at the very last moment, you have the entire circle. You formulated a line that you say you shall not pass. This could be the biggest game of the day if they convert.
But British Army Esports being one of the squads, of course, that has a full roster. And Apollo, now you lose Huskers, you lose your ray gun for the U.S. Navy Alpha squad. You may be in a good positioning. You might be in win contention to win this map here, but you are going to have to take down the British Army Esports, and also there's one other member too, but still Tiff for British Army. They have both squads alive here in the last
They do. It's U.S. Navy versus both rosters of the British Army Esports. So trying to turn your attention to both of them, it's going to be Gun Shop throwing down so much damage towards that Alpha roster on the left. So the tough part of this is it's still a 3v4. They pick up Strixie, and Bravo's roster is wiped. Apollo, you can see the move coming through as Juki's team tries to open things up, and the U.S. Navy is shutting them down.
This could potentially be the who decides the winner. It's Navy versus the British Army, and for Gun Shop, you're gonna have to win this here. There's only one member left, Tiff, and I believe that is Juki's in a 1v2.
Here we are, Gun Shop trying to take the opening angles. There it goes. Alb does fall, and you can only imagine what this shakeup is going to do for the leaderboard. The U.S. Navy Esports was absolutely throwing it down here in game number 4.
Oh my goodness, and credits of course to them playing that high risk, right? Getting all of the high tier loot, and Huskers doing his thing with that ray gun.
From the start to the finish, man, they were just looking so consistent throughout drop number 4.
All right, so taking a look at the leaderboard for cumulative for maps 1 through 4, British Army Esports had 120 points on Alpha. They had 34 on Bravo, which gave them 154. And I can't remember if I actually said this. So it was kind of funny. British Army ended up fighting the U.S. Navy at the end of the 4th map. So U.S. Navy won that map, but they lost the tournament. British Army actually won, which is kind of funny because they lost the fight in the final map. So I don't know. It's kind of funny, actually. But so U.S. Navy Esports had 109 on Alpha, 12.5 on Bravo, which gave them 121.5. Air Force Gaming had 91.5 on Alpha, 26 on Bravo, which gave them 117.5. So Coast Guard had 114.5 total. U.S. Army had 103.5. Royal Air Force Esports had 75. Royal Navy Esports had 52. 52, 58, 58 is 58. Space Force Gaming had 54.5 total. Royal Canadian Air Force had 53.5, and Marine Corps had 24. So, I mean, everybody, again, I mean, as I've said 100 times in this video, everybody performed very, very well in this tournament because Black Ops Royale can be very, very challenging. Especially for me as somebody who's not the best at it. Yeah, but this led into the solo YOLO. But before we get into that, actually, the Monster Energy MVP for the Call of Duty Endowment Bowl 7 tournament was actually Gibbo from the British Army Esports. I think he was from the Alpha, British Army Esports Alpha. So the MVP was the winning team of the Endowment Bowl. So, hey, I mean, very fitting. Very, very fitting. Congratulations to all those on the British Army team. I mean, congratulations on that win. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, very, very fun gameplay to watch. But this is not over. So we have the solo YOLO to look at. Again, not going to do a detailed breakdown because I can't see all the details. So, yeah, but again, as I said at the beginning of the video, thank you to Butters for letting me use some footage from your stream for this part of the video, because Teep, or TP, I'm not sure how you actually say your username. I'm going to say Teep. He won the solo YOLO, and the way that he won it, there was one particular part that was just so hilarious to watch, and I wanted to include that bit. But see, of course, the last two players being Teep and Xylo, they switched between their POVs kind of back and forth there at the end. And I kind of like seeing just Teep's point of view. So, Butters allowing me to use that part of her stream, I am so thankful for. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm gonna mute that particular part of the video there, just out of respect for her stream, because I don't want to have her audio in here just because it's hers. But I mean, she's allowing me to use it, so I'm going to use it correctly. Not that I didn't use any of the rest of the footage correctly in here, but I haven't gotten any copyright strikes from using Call of Duty content like that, so I'm hoping that I won't off of this. But let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at how Teep won the solo YOLO, and then we will meet back up at the end of the video here and end it off for the day. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, yep. So Teep was the winner of the solo YOLO, and I mean, what a win it was. I mean, what a win it was. He plays very, very well. Um, Honestly, I would not want to come up against him in Black Ops Royale because I would instantly run the other direction. Or if I had a grapple hook, I would grapple hook in the other direction. Um, there's no way I could even attempt to go against him. He is way too good, way too good. I mean, but he was basically playing prop hunt at one point. He was basically playing prop hunt, which, no pun intended, props to you, bro. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would not have thought to sit in a vehicle like that. I mean, I kind of like to push, 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 which is probably my problem in Black Ops Royale. Yeah, I do hope y'all that y'all enjoyed this video. Again, thank you for letting me use that footage, Butters. And thank you for all the players who played in here. I mean, y'all did a phenomenal job. I mean, phenomenal. Watching y'all play was just so enjoyable. It actually made me have a piqued interest in Black Ops Royale and Warzone. So maybe that was part of the reason for the Call of Duty Endowment Bowl to push Black Ops Royale on me. Probably not. But you know what? It did. So I'm playing more of it now. Do I still suck? Yes, I do. I still suck. But yeah, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Not sure what that'll be. Unsure, but it might be a stream. Maybe. I don't know. I can't wait for Modern Warfare 4. It's gonna be so much fun whenever that comes out because I'm done camo grinding. So it's like, what kind of videos do I make? I'm left not drawing blanks, but I'm like, I'm done camo grinding. What do I go for? So I don't know. We'll have to see what comes up next. It's whatever I feel like making usually. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see y'all in the next video, whatever that be. See ya, and please do not forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps me being a small channel as I am. But see ya.